as a lion goes to kill an elephant. He even dropped his outer garment on the way. So Krishna was completely in the chivalrous mood, and he was charging to kill Bhishmadev as a lion goes to kill an elephant. The battle of Kurukshetra was fought on military principles, but at the same time in the sporting spirit. As friends fights with another friend, Duryodhana criticized Bhishmadev, alleging that he was reluctant to kill Arjuna because of paternal affection. A Kshatriya cannot tolerate insults on the principle of fighting. So we know how Duryodhana was diplomatic, and to attain his uh, goal, he was alleging and instigating Bhishmadev. And in particular, he was alleging that Bhishmadev is not fighting to his own strength, and he is not interested in killing the Pandavas. So in this way, when he was instigating Bhishmadev, so Bhishmadev could not tolerate the harsh word spoken by Duryodhana. A Kshatriya cannot tolerate insults on the principle of fighting. Bhishmadev therefore promised that the next day he would kill all the Pandavas with special weapons made for the purpose. You all know the story. Bhishmadev declared that he had 5 special arrows, and with those 5 special arrows he would kill all the 5 Pandavas. Duryodhana was satisfied and he kept the arrows with him. They would be delivered the next day during the fight. By trick, Arjuna took the arrows from Duryodhana, obviously on the advice of Krishna. And Bhishmadev could understand that this was the trick of Lord Krishna. So he took a vow that the next day Krishna would have to take up weapon himself, or his friend Arjuna would die. In the next day's fighting, Bhishmadev fought so violently that both Arjuna and Krishna were in trouble. Arjuna was almost defeated. The situation was so tense that he was about to be killed by Bhishmadev the very next moment. At that time, Lord Krishna wanted to please his devotee Bhishma by keeping Bhishma's promise, which was more important than his own. Thus, seemingly, he broke his own promise. He had promised before the beginning of the battle of Kurukshetra that he would remain without weapons and would not use his strength for either of the parties. But to protect Arjuna, he got down from the chariot, took up the wheel of the chariot, and hurriedly rushed at Bhishmadev in an angry mood, as a lion goes to kill an elephant. He dropped his covering cloth on the way, and out of great anger, he did not know that he had dropped it. Bhishmadev at once gave up his weapon and stood to be killed by Krishna, his beloved. You have seen that famous picture? Have you not seen that picture? That Krishna is surcharging with the wheel and Bhishmadev is with his arms stretched. He is inviting Krishna to kill him. But Krishna was very furious. Krishna was so furious against Bhishmadev. Why? Why was Krishna very furious? He broke his vow. And Arjuna is catching the feet of Krishna and begging him that, my dear Lord, you have promised that you will not fight. You will only be the charioteer. Please remember your promise. Please do not take up the weapon. And Krishna is dragging Arjuna and charging to kill Bhishma. Why he was so furious? Pradeep? Why Krishna was so furious that he broke his vow and he did not hear what Arjuna was speaking? My voice is reaching you or not? Bolo? Yes, Dayashil bro.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, because he wanted to kill his own devotee Prabhuji, Arjuna. So
because Bhishmadev was almost on the verge of killing Arjuna. And Krishna could not tolerate this. Krishna will never allow his duty to be vanquished, and what to speak of being troubled in his own presence. So Krishna went all out. He did not care for his own vow and promise. The fighting of the day was thus ended at that very moment, and Arjuna was saved. Of course, there was no possibility of Arjuna's death because of the Lord himself was on the chariot. But because Vishnu wanted to see Lord Krishna take up some weapon to save his friend, the Lord created the situation, making Arjuna's death appear imminent. He stood before Vishnudev to show him that his promise was fulfilled and that he had taken up the wheel. Sita Visiksha Hato Vishirna Damsaha Shata Paripluta Adataino me Prasabham Abhishara Abhisasara Madhvadhyartam Sabhavatu me Bhagavan Gatir Mukunda. May He, Lord Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who awards salvation, be my ultimate destination. On the battlefield, he charged me, as if angry because of the wounds dealt by my sharp arrows. His shield was scattered, and his body was smeared with floods due to the wounds. The dealing of Lord Krishna and Bhishmadev on the battlefield of Kurukshetra are interesting because the activities of Lord Sri Krishna appear to be partial to Arjuna and at enmity with Bhishmadev. But factually, all this was especially meant to show special favor to Bhishmadev, a great devotee of the Lord. The astounding feature of such dealing is that a devotee can please the Lord by playing the part of an enemy. The Lord, being absolute, can accept service from his pure devotee, even in the garb of an enemy. The Supreme Lord cannot have any enemy, nor can a so-called enemy harm, because he is Ajita or unconquerable. But still he takes pleasure when his pure devotee beats him like an enemy or rebukes him from the superior position, although no one can be superior to the Lord. These are some of the transcendental reciprocatory dealings of the devotee with the Lord, and those who have no information of pure devotional service cannot penetrate into the mystery of such dealings. Vishnudev played the part of a violent warrior, and he purposely pierced the body of the Lord so that the common eyes would appear that the Lord was wounded. But factually, all this was to bewilder the non-devotees. The Lord's all spiritual body cannot be wounded, and a devotee cannot become the enemy of the Lord. Had it been so, Vishnudev would not have desired to have the same will Lord as the ultimate destination of his life. Had Vishnudev been an enemy of the Lord, had Vishnudev been an enemy of the Lord, Lord Krishna could have annihilated him even without movement. There would have been no need to come before Vishnudev with blood and wounds. But he did so because the warrior devotee wanted to see the transcendental beauty of the Lord decorated with wounds created by a pure devotee. This is the way of exchanging transcendental rasa or relationship between the Lord and the servitor. By such dealings, both the Lord and the devotee became glorified in their respective positions. The Lord was so angry that Arjuna checked him when he was moving toward Vishnudev. But in spite of Arjuna checking, he proceeded toward Vishnudev as the lover goes to a lover without caring for hindrances. Apparently, his determination was to kill Vishnudev, but factually it was to please him, a great devotee of the Lord. The Lord is undoubtedly the deliverer of all things. The impersonalists desire salvation from him, and he always awards them according to their aspiration. But here Vishnudev prays that the ultimate destination of his life be the Lord in his personal future. Our pure devotees aspire for this. विजय रथा कुटुंब अटातोत्रे ऋत्या हया रश्मिनी तक श्री सा भगवती रथिरस्तु मे मुमुषु इयम इहा निरक्ष्या हता गता स्वरूपम्. At the moment of that, let my ultimate attraction be Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. I concentrate my mind upon Arjuna's chariot driver, who stood with a whip in his right hand and a bridle rope in his left, and who was very careful to give protection to Arjuna's chariot by all means. Thus, those who saw him on the battlefield of Kurukshetra in their original form after death. Sorry. At the moment of death, let my ultimate attraction be to Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. I concentrate my mind upon Arjuna's chariot driver, who stood with a whip in his right hand and a bridle rope in his left, and who was very careful to give protection to Arjuna's chariot by all means. Those who saw him on the battlefield of Kurukshetra attained their original forms after death. A pure devotee of the Lord constantly sees the presence of the Lord within himself because of being transcendently related by loving service. Such a pure devotee cannot forget the Lord for a moment. This is called trance. The mystic yogi tries to concentrate upon the super soul by restraining the senses from all other engagements, and thus he ultimately attains samadhi. A devotee more easily attains samadhi or trance by constantly remembering the Lord's personal feature, along with his holy name, fame, pastime, etc. Therefore, the concentration of the mystic yogi and that of the devotee are not on the same level. The concentration of the mystic yogi is mechanical, whereas that of the pure devotee is natural in pure love and spontaneous affection. Bhishmadev was a pure devotee, and as a military marshal, he constantly remembered the battlefield feature of the Lord as Parthasarathi, the chariot driver of Arjuna. Therefore, the Lord's pastime as Parthasarathi is also eternal. The pastimes of the Lord, beginning from his birth at the prison house of Kamsa up to the Maushal Leela at the end, all move one after another in all the universes, just as the clock hand moves from one point to another. And in such situations, his associates like the Pandavas and Bhishma are constant eternal companions. So Bhishmadev never forgot the beautiful feature of the Lord as Parthasarathi, which even Arjuna could not see. Arjuna was behind the beautiful Parthasarathi, while Bhishmadev was just in front of the Lord. As far as the military feature of the Lord is concerned, Bhishmadev observed this with more relish than Arjuna. All the soldiers and other persons on the battlefield of Kurukshetra attained their original spiritual form. After their death, because by the causeless mercy of the Lord, they were able to see him face to face on that occasion. The conditioned soul, rotting in the evolutionary cycle from the aquatics up to the form of Brahma, are all in the forms of Maya. or the form obtained by one's own action and avoided by material nature. The material form of the conditioned soul are all foreign dresses. And when the conditioned soul becomes liberated from the clutches of the material energy, he attains his original spiritual form, like the Lord's. The personists want to attain the personal Brahman effulgence of the Lord. But that is not at all congenial to the living sparks, parts and parcels of us, of the Lord. Therefore, the impersonalists fall down again and get material form, which are all false to the spirit soul. A spirit form like that of Lord's, either 200 or 400, is attained by the devotee of the Lord when, when either Vakuntas or the Goloka planet, according to the spiritual nature of the soul. This form is 100% spiritual. Is the Swarupa of the living being, and all the living beings who participate on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. On both sides attained their Swarupa as confirmed by Vishnudev. So Lord Sri Krishna was not merciful only to the Pandava. He was equal. He was merciful to other parties because of them attained the same result. Vishnudev wanted the same facility also. And thus his prayers to the Lord, although his position was an associate of the Lord, is assured in all circumstances. The conclusion is that whoever dies looking at the personality of Godhead, within or without, attains the Swarupa, which is the highest perfection of Lord. Long term. Fortieth verse. Lalit Gati Vilasa Valbusha Pranaya Nirakshana Kalpitoru Manaha Kritam Anu Pitavya Unmad Unmadvandaha Prakritim Agan Kilayasya Gopavadvaha. Let my mind be fixed upon Lord Sri Krishna, whose motions and smiles of love attracted the damsels of Vrajadham. The damsels imitated the character and movements of the Lord after his disappearance from the Rashtrams. By intense ecstasy in loving service, the damsels of Vrajbhumi attained qualitative oneness with the Lord by dancing with him on the equal level, embracing him in repeated love, smiling at him in joy, and on looking at him with a loving attitude. The relation of the Lord with Arjuna is undoubtedly praiseworthy for devotees like Vishnudev. But the relation of the gopis with the Lord is still more praiseworthy because of their still more purified loving service. By the grace of the Lord, Arjuna was fortunate enough to have the fraternal service of the Lord as chariot driver. But the Lord did not award Arjuna with equal strength. The gopis, however, practically became one with the Lord by attainment of equal footing with the Lord. Bhishma's aspiration to remember the gopis is a prayer to have this mercy also at the last stage of his life. The Lord is satisfied more when his pure devotees are glorified, and therefore Vishnudev was not only glorified, the acts of Arjuna, his immediate object of attraction, but has also remembered the gopis who were endowed with unrivaled opportunities for entering the service to the Lord. The gopis' equality with the Lord should never be misunderstood. It be like that of the sannyas is devotion. Of the impersonalists, the quality is one of perfect ecstasy, where the differential conception is completely eradicated for the interest of the lover and the beloved become identical. Hare Krishna. I am stopping here, although it is just 9, but I'm very tired. Sleep. And tomorrow is Ekadashi. I might go to Govardhan. There is this assembly of devotees, big assembly of devotees from Govardhan. If I go, then I won't be able to take the class. And if I am there, then I can take the class. Tomorrow is the spiritual scientist class. Dayashil Prabhu.
Prabhuji,
Tomorrow is Saturday, so you'll have a spiritual scientist class.
I'm not able to hear Prabhuji.
Tomorrow
repeat.
is Saturday, so spiritual scientist class will be there.
Prabhuji, I will ask if there are some devotees,
That they are there
MSc
on
student.
online class.
If they are there, then we'll have.
No, at least you should give online class. Okay, I'll speak to you. Any question or any
Yes,
discussion?
Prabhuji.
You see how Bhishma Dev is meditating, he's praying, how he's preparing himself to keep Krishna in his consciousness very prominent at the time of putting his body. Okay, should I stop here? We will resume on Sunday. Krishna will. Hare Krishna.